Hey, yo, what's the deal? It's your boy Tag from Pro Wrestling Tag. You know what I mean? As of this recording right now, it is 5:37 p.m. and the upload time of this is 11:30 p.m. You know what I mean? So there was a story that broke that it kind of flew under the radar. You know, and this is a lot to do with the Warner Brothers Discovery split, right? The shakeup, and you know. They actually unveiled, like, you know, the new corporate split and exec, you know, and the exec shakeup, right? And of course, you guys know that Warner Bros. Discovery is splitting into two different companies, right? And so, you know, so one company is basically for the streaming part, right? Which is basically, you know, Warner Brothers, right? It focuses on the studios and such. And Discovery Global is basically the networks, right? Which is basically the networks that has the debt, right? Now, how does this affect AEW, right? How in the world is this going to affect AEW stuff? So, I'm going to read what it says, and then I'm going to pinpoint everything that was shown to me, like how it affects AEW, right? So this is from my website, right? You know, tagpwnews.blogspot.com. Right? I might put the link of that story in the description. Warner Brothers Discovery has officially announced a major corporate restructuring set to take effect in mid-2026. The company will split into two distinct entities. Warner Brothers focus on streaming and studios, and Discovery Global focus on networks and live content like sports and news. The move affects AEW in a unique way. AEW shows air weekly on TNT, now part of Global Discovery Division, or the Discovery Global Division, while its streaming library and pay-per-views are hosted on Max, which will remain under the Warner Brothers banner. The dual platform presence could either boost AEW's strategic importance or create challenges depending on how each brand prioritizes wrestling. That's the key. You know, key leaders include David Zasloff continuing as Warner Brothers CEO. Casey Blows. No, that's what it says. Bloys. Not really blows, but you know, Bloys. Heading Max and HBO. Heading Max and HBO, and Luis Sebenwaza remaining in charge of TNT Sports. With two separate pipelines for programming and streaming, AEW's fate will likely hinge on internal cooperation or competition between the newly formed divisions, right? And listen, I'm mostly a fast reader because I like to get shit out the way, right? But this ain't good. This is not good. I'm going to tell you how this affects AEW. Okay? So, the current status of AEW. AEW airs on TNT TBS, which will fall under the Discovery Global umbrella, formerly Warner Brothers Discovery Cable Networks. This makes AEW a Discovery Global property, along with CNN, TNT Sports, and Bleacher Report. Right? We've been through this. Now, we've been knew that they were going to fall right under that category because, again, you know, they are part of that program. You know, they are part of that division. The keynote also is, remember when they shelled it out and they didn't show AEW in the logo? Now, here's the other part. David Zasloff is not running this thing, right? He's running the streaming. You know, he's running the streaming and the studios. That's his focus, right? Somebody else is going to be running somebody else is going to be running the Discovery Global's part. That has nothing to do with David Zasloff. So they could view wrestling somewhere completely different than what David Zasloff was viewing, right? So how could this affect AEW, right? New leaderships and new priorities, right? Discovery Global's new CEO will be Gunnar Windenfels. I mean, these names, man. Windenfels, a finance-driven executive, not a content-focused leader like Zasloff. AEW's fate may now depend on how valuable the new Discovery Global leadership believes live sports / adult male entertainment content is compared to other priorities like news and reality programming. Number 2, budget cuts and renewed investment. Warner Bros. Discovery has cut costs aggressively in recent years. Cancel script shows, shelving movies, etc., etc. We see this. If Discovery Global focuses on leaner operations, AEW could face reduced TV rights fees, pressure to cut costs, and shorter term or lesser favorable contracts, right? And that says, but if live programming and sports remain a top priority, AEW could benefit from a renewed focus on weekly live content that still draws in the key demos, which it doesn't. Which basically it doesn't, right? Streaming options may narrow, right? If Max, formerly HBO Max, is spawned off under Warner Bros. Discovery, and AEW is under Discovery Global, it might complicate or even block AEW from getting a streaming home at Max or launching pay-per-views and archives there. They may seek an alternative streaming partner like, Amazon Prime. It says Netflix, but that is doubtful. Amazon Prime, no. Or even back to Bleacher Report. Still under the Discovery Global brand, but less ideal. Potential sell or shift, right? AEW, if AEW feels deprioritized, undervalued, at risk of being dropped in favor of other content, it's not realistic to think that Tony Khan might begin talks with other platforms or media companies like Amazon Prime or Apple Plus. I doubt that happens, right? So to summarize, right, new leadership, the risk is the CEO may not value AEW, right? Budget, cost cutting could affect AEW's deal terms, right? Streaming, AEW could lose max access, and long-term fit. Discovery Global may favor traditional sports and news. So this looks bad. This looks really, really bad for AEW. And I'm absolutely sure that a lot of these motherfuckers under the comment section is going to talk shit. They're going to say, how do you know if AEW's ratings don't go up and their demos don't go up? Do you see the ratings every fucking week? Do you see the fucking ratings every week? Every week you see the ratings. The key demo is down, right? Remember, their key demo that they were bragging about was what? The 18 to 49, right? Look what happened. What happened? They can't even get that now, right? So now they got to go to a much, much older audience, right? And this is a problem. This is a giant fucking problem, B. It's a giant problem because, AEW is already in the shit that it's in now, right? I still feel that Warner Brothers Discovery wanted WWE. I think they wanted WWE, but WWE, nobody was going to outbid Netflix. Nobody. No, I'm sorry, but nobody. Now, what I do believe could happen is, let's say, because the UFC TV rights deals are up. I think they're shopping. I think TKO is shopping the deal for Netflix, right? I mean, I'm still for UFC. If UFC gets a deal with with Warner Bros. Discovery, right? Oh, that's it. That's it for AEW. You know why? Because you got TKO branding with with UFC. If you don't think that Warner Bros. Discovery is going to ask AEW to, to promote a TKO, a TKO branded product, a TKO owned product into AEW television, oh, forget about it. Forget about it. Again, this is not a good look for AEW. They're already in fucked up shit now, right? This starts in mid-2026. There's going to be a lot of bullshit that comes in within that year. Guarantee. I personally guarantee it happens, B. Because with AEW, again, everything is down with AEW. Attendance, shit. You see what it was at in in their shows, right? Like, they're in fucking armories and bingo halls. Look at Chicago. Look at fucking Chicago, right? They can't even sell out the United Center anymore. Like they're not even in that echelon anymore. You know what I mean? So, now they're taking residency. And so you mean to tell me that, that this company is going to survive with the stuff that it has? Oh, forget about it. I expect Warner Bros. Discovery, not even Warner Bros. Discovery, Discovery Global, to look at AEW's ratings and such, and then they go, we'll take you back, but we're just going to, we're going to give you a lesser deal. That's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to give them a lesser deal, and yeah. So if y'all don't like it, you can suck these nuts. I'm about to be out, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to definitely holler at y'all tomorrow, so there's more news. I'm going to check y'all, all right? Peace.